despite our best efforts, our featured review ended up being a Wes Anderson movie that was being released this week. Todd, you're starting us off because I think you're the one that is most positive about Wes Anderson in general.
Okay.
Tell us about The Phoenician Scheme.
Okay, The Phoenician Scheme, directed by Oscar winner Wes Anderson, written by Wes Anderson and Roman Coppola. This stars Benicio del Toro in kind of the most unlikely Wes Anderson character. He plays Zsa-zsa Korda, who is sort of like a con man, businessman who survives a lot of plane crashes and assassination attempts, apparently. But he has like one master plan. It's like build a dam or something, which a lot of people aren't going to like. He brings in his estranged daughter, which is Sister Liesel, played by Mia Threapleton, who kind of reluctantly goes along with the whole thing because she's promised her father's estate. Then there's also this Norwegian tutor slash bug obsessed weirdo Bjorn, played by Michael Cera, who is also part of the journey, and it's kind of separated into chapters in which like classic Wes Anderson actors come in, and then new Wes Anderson actors also kind of have these like 10-minute or so fun little short film antics that they go through with Korda, Liesel, and Bjorn. And Benicio del Toro is sort of a different animal for a Wes Anderson movie. He doesn't have the normal cadence that has become so stale in the last couple movies, which is the worst two Wes Anderson movies. Instead, he's like lively and offbeat and fun, and he's one of the best actors in the world. And this, I think, is one of his like best starring roles because he doesn't really get a whole lot of those. And I think the Henry Sugar collection that won Anderson his Oscar kind of reinvigorated him because now he can sort of take risks. This doesn't feel like anything he's necessarily done before, at least not in the last couple decades. And it's more of like about a father and a daughter more than anything else. And there's some like really comically bizarre scenes of violence. Like there's one where like there's an explosion, a guy gets sucked out of an airplane, it's like right off the bat. It's really weird. He's sort of going for it, and thankfully abandoned the smug nothingness of Asteroid City, which sucked. I think it's the closest to Grand Budapest Hotel in like creating a character that is wholly original to Wes Anderson's world, and the actor helps, of course. I mean, but because if this was like Bill Murray or Willem Dafoe 20 years ago or something, it would have been more goofy and it would have been less interesting, even though that is sort of the golden age of Wes Anderson. The movie is shot in a way that reminded me of kind of like a Yorgos Lanthimos movie. There's some really interesting camera work and angles and settings that I think is maybe one of the best achievements in a Wes Anderson movie. And Rupert Friend, again, is the most interesting actor that is in these movies because he does not compromise and he does not become one of Wes Anderson's puppets. He is still Rupert Friend, and he sticks out like a sore thumb, and he's awesome. And then there's this insane basketball game with Tom Hanks and Bryan Cranston playing a horse against Benicio del Toro and Riz Ahmed. I never thought I would say that in a sentence. It's interesting though. Some of the actors are perfect for Wes Anderson. Like I can see Michael Cera being a regular from now on. Richard Ayoade as well. Like he totally fits the Wes Anderson thing. I was kind of constantly surprised at how bizarre it got and how compelling the narrative continued to be, even though I didn't necessarily understand it. It's formatted sort of episodically, but it never gets too indulgent. It's not top tier Anderson, but I think it's kind of like right below that. I'm at like a high 3 stars on this one. It was my favorite one of his movies probably since Moonrise Kingdom.
All right, high 3 stars from Todd. Zach, where are you?
Well, I was not prepared to watch this movie. I wanted to see the life of Chuck, and the heart and soul of Mike Flanagan. But so I had to put myself in. I had to give myself a little bit of a motivator or something to see, a buzz to see it. So I rewatched the Royal Tenenbaums to remind me that at one point Wes Anderson was a cool fucking director. Okay. I still like the Royal Tenenbaums. I think it's a great movie. It's on Hulu. It's still, I think, is really fun to watch. Great cast. R.I.P. Gene Hackman. I mean, low-key, maybe one of his best performances. What makes that movie work is that Wes Anderson is less interested in camera work and stupid set pieces and stupid, tributes to movie icons. and cameos, then he's more interested in the story. And there's a really good story and really good characters in The Royal Tenenbaums. Anyway, long story short, I had to remind myself why Wes Anderson is a good director. I think he's lost his way. You know, he's like David Gordon Green or something. Like, there was one point when he had a vision. It's all gone. This movie is a slight upgrade over Asteroid City and certainly French Dispatch, which was really bad. And because I agree with Todd, I think Benicio del Toro is likable in the movie. I like the young actress who plays his daughter, and I mean, it's not every 5 seconds being inundated with a cameo appearance. Now, what's ironic is that this movie probably could have been helped by a Alec Baldwin or Bob Balaban voiceover. This is like the one movie where he doesn't use voiceover. And the reason I say that is this movie is completely and utterly incomprehensible. I don't understand what the Phoenician Scheme is. I certainly don't know how to spell the Phoenician Scheme. And I very quickly lost any sort of interest in things like drill bits and selling short and why he's going to these other countries.
Called rivets, Zach.
Rivets, excuse me. They're a fifth of a dime or something. I mean, I did not care at all about that. You know, there are several characters, like Jeffrey Wright's character. What was the purpose of that character? I don't know. There was a funny story that came out this week about how Wes Anderson has tried to hire Jodie Foster 3 or 4 times to be in his movies, and she keeps turning him down. I say go Jodie Foster, okay? Don't belittle yourself to a one-day shoot where you are just a glorified cameo, like some actors that we shall not name, whose names rhyme with Schmomp, Schmanks, and Schmai and Schmanchten, however entertaining their basketball game might have been. This movie was pretty boring. It is, I guess it's a slight upgrade on Asteroid City because it's less precious. There is not a cadet in this movie. I was really happy to not see one of the cadets being one, like talking about his ranger and his jet and how he's going to search for signs of extraterrestrial life. Oh, I was really happy that we didn't get that in this movie. So I want to upgrade this movie, but I thought it was boring as hell and I couldn't understand it. And I can't really give a movie a higher score just because it wasn't as bad as his previous movies. So I want to give it 2.5, but I can't quite get there. I want to give it maybe 2.25 because I gave Asteroid City 2. But Wes Anderson, I miss you. I do want to leave with this. I was watching the Brett Favre documentary on Netflix this week about Brett Favre sexting Jen Sturgis. And what was fascinating about that movie, that documentary, is that there were a lot of allusions made to, well, yes, Brett Favre sexted this woman because she looks like his wife. I wonder if Wes Anderson has only ever been interested in the same kind of woman because his movies are all the same. Wes Anderson, can we get some variety in life? You know, there were great directors once like Stanley Kubrick or Todd Field or even Clint Eastwood. They would make different movies. I don't think Wes Anderson is capable of making different movies at this point. So to me, this felt like sort of a vanity project, and I'm done with him. I can't take any more of it. Mercifully, it was only an hour and 40 minutes. I can't believe it was that short, but I'm at 2 stars.
Connecting
Did
Wes
anybody
Anderson
know that it was Kate Winslet's daughter was the main character in this? I had no idea.
I read that afterwards.
That's Kate Winslet's daughter? No, I didn't know that. All right, connecting Wes Anderson to Brett Favre. I mean, that's bravo. A stretch. Bravo, man. Bravo. All right, so Zach's at 2 stars, Todd's at 3 stars. So 2.5 stars for me.
Oh, come on.
We did this
you
right.
Didn't like this one, Terry?
So here's the thing.
You've been tough recently. Okay, let's listen to this.
Like most Wes Anderson movies, I get to the end of it and I go, what am I supposed to do with that? I mean, this one held my interest better than most of his more recent movies. It was a much more simple plot, which is good. I think Benicio del Toro is the weirdest casting for a Wes Anderson movie ever. Like, potential nominee for the Matt Damon What Movie Are You In is Benicio del Toro in a Wes Anderson movie.
But also Best Actor at the same time.
And at the same time, you have
No, but
Michael
Benedict
Cera, which is
Cumberbatch
like
was
Benedict
the
Cumberbatch
was the Matt Damon winner in this movie. What was he doing in this movie?
that
And
Cumberbatch's
makeup
beard
work on him.
and contact lenses to make him have blue eyes. But then Michael Cera is like, why have you been in a Wes Anderson movie before? Like, this is perfect.
And Iwata, that's what I'm saying. Iwata is the same way. He shows up as like,
Is
oh,
pretty
he
good too.
like that makes total sense in this universe.
Mm-hmm. Wes Anderson giving us the concept that Tom Hanks and Bryan Cranston are brothers, like genius, beautiful. I love it. That makes perfect sense.
Pepperdine and Stanford.
Yeah, there were moments that was like, okay, that was kind of cool. But the plot it doesn't make any sense. Why are there shoeboxes? Why is there an arrow being shot through some of them? Why are there hand grenades? There's lines that are just read straight into the camera, and you can tell they're just being read straight into the camera because that's what Wes Anderson wants. All the sets look like he made them in Miniature World, and just like he made a model set, like that's gonna be my set. Like if I feel like Derek Zoolander here, this has to be at least 3 times this size because it feels like it's all just like a model that he somehow shrunk the people to be inside of, which is kind of cool, but at the same time, it's getting old. I honestly don't know what to do with this movie. Like there's some really interesting parts. There's some really weird parts. I had a few people in the audience that like you could tell were true Wes Anderson fans. And I think I heard like 2 or 3 chuckles throughout the entire movie.
It's a very unfunny movie. I don't think there was a single laugh in my theater.
Oh, there were like 5 people in the theater, and they were all laughing throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, so I'm at 2.5 stars, and I'm going with that because at 2.5 stars myself, I feel very safe. So,
can you explain what the Phoenician Scheme is?
No.
Because, I mean, this is the 2 Jakes. This is the same thing we talked about last week. Why are we giving the movie the benefit of the doubt if you can't explain what the movie is about? Why are we saying, oh, this genius?
Well, what the actual plan was? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Explain anything about this movie. What is the numbers?
He was building a dam.
The cousin that got 15%. What was with that? I didn't understand any of that.
He needed to make he was at a deficit and he needed to make up the money, and so he went to all of the people he usually does schemes with.
The gap was like his insurance policy, right?
Yeah, he was trying to lessen the gap, and he was doing that in order to build this big old dam that was going to help the people, kind of, I guess.
I thought he was taking money from the people.
Slave labor. I don't know. It is explained pretty quickly in the beginning, but then you sort of get it throughout the rest of the movie.
Explained quickly at the beginning with shoeboxes. Why?
I thought it was all about exploiting laborers. I thought it was about how he was
we will need to hire slaves.
Coordinating a forced sort of like hunger or something where there's a collapse of resources to make people easier to employ, to build a dam. I was completely lost with this premise. And I think Wes Anderson didn't really care either. I think he was more interested in the characters having funny banter between them. But at a certain level, you're like, you need a story, you know? Royal Tenenbaums had a story, you know, even like Steve Zissou and Moonrise Kingdom, those had stories. This is not a story. This is just an excuse for, again, one, and I won't say set piece because that was Asteroid City and the French Dispatch. This movie is just more about kind of the characters interacting. So I'll give him that. It's less indulgent than those two.
It's most similar to the Darjeeling Limited, I think, where that one was one that it's a little out there, but it still is within the range of what he does well. But one thing I liked about this movie, there was a scene where Benicio del Toro just like fires through one line the way all Wes Anderson actors do, and they said no, and he says wait, and he says it again, and then he says no, and he says wait, and then he slows it down and says it a third time. You're like, oh, that's what he was actually. I get the point now. If all the actors talked like that, it would make more sense. But he did that one time. I was just like, oh. that's interesting. It's almost like Wes Anderson knows like how ridiculous his movies are, that he's playing around with his own lingo and his own pace.
Wait, let's communicate.
Yes.
Did your audience laugh at the first time you saw Bill Murray? Because I think if your audience laughs at that, they're on the wavelength of the film, and no one in my theater laughed at that.
It wasn't the Bill
No
Murray.
one
It was
laughed at that.
they laughed at the stuff that is funny about Wes Anderson movies. The Bill Murray thing, I didn't even know he was in the movie. I honestly knew very little
either.
about this movie going in, which maybe isn't the
I knew
best thing.
nothing.
I knew none of the actors that were in this. I had no idea Cranston and Hanks were in this. I had no idea Willem Dafoe was going to pop up. I thought this was basically like a one-man show the way that the Grand Budapest was. And then, yeah, you have a couple people pop in like Edward Norton or whoever. But I mean, Edward Norton wasn't in this one. His normal actors aren't in this other than his like the legacy actors of Wes Anderson. But you had no Luke Wilson. You had no Owen Wilson. It was kind of, I don't know.
And no
I got
Jodie
into
Foster.
it. I'm a little frustrated that you guys that didn't see it the way I did, but it's okay.
I mean, it's another one where like if I let it sit with me for a while and figure out the wavelength that's on, maybe. But I mean, I will say this. One nice thing about this movie is most Wes Anderson movies I find a chore to watch because there's so much dialogue to chew on and it just takes so much work to navigate through a Wes Anderson movie. I did not
which
feel
is your
that with
favorite
this
you've
one.
seen?
My favorite, that was actually one of my next questions. My favorite, I would say either Grand Budapest or Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Yeah, Fantastic Mr. Fox is his masterpiece. That's what he's meant to do. But
And I like the Henry Sugar films. Those are good too. But my theory with those is that Roald Dahl's the reason those are good. When Wes Anderson is working with his own scripts, he tends to get a little indulgent. But like those Netflix movies were awesome. I think he actually could fit the short form format very
that's
nicely.
what this movie does. It's episodic in that way. Like there are a lot of short films that he puts together into one thing, just holding the one actor going through them, or I guess the three actors, but really just Benicio del Toro.
I like the last scene in this movie. I'll give you that. Had the movie been, I think, more grounded in reality, the way that last scene is, I would have had more respect for the movie. In fact, I watched that last scene and thought, I kind of wish that this movie had been just a little bit more straightforward with the story and had been more grounded in who these people were and their relationships with each other, because I think it ends in a nice place.
See, I saw that last scene and was like, this scene makes no sense with what we just watched.
Right, because it's a completely different vibe. That's why I liked it, because the rest of the movie's nonsense. But that last scene had a sort of understated poignance to it.
To pay off one line that we heard an hour and 20 minutes before. Todd, what's your favorite Wes Anderson?
You just said Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's like objectively his best movie. My favorite is probably Life Aquatic.
I have not seen Life Aquatic. Like there's a whole era of Wes Anderson I didn't watch. I watched Royal Tenenbaums when I got to it in my Oscar watches and Moonrise Kingdom. But I haven't seen Life Aquatic. I haven't seen Darjeeling. I haven't seen
Rushmore and Bottle Rocket.
I haven't seen Rushmore or Bottle Rocket. I haven't seen Isle of Dogs. I just kind of avoided them for a while.
I think he entered what Bill Simmons would call the Tyson zone with Grand Budapest Hotel. I think that movie, you could say a Wes Anderson movie is about anything and you believe it. I think he went off the rails around that era. And I like more grounded Wes Anderson. Like Rushmore's a pretty funny movie. The movie still holds up pretty well. Obviously, Bottle Rocket's a classic, but the Royal Tenenbaums is just a banger from start to finish. But it's because it feels less Wes Anderson and more just quirky characters interacting.
Well, see, but I think there's a decent amount of Royal Tenenbaums in the Phoenician Scheme, especially with like, I mean, I feel like the family, like Zsa-zsa's family, is pretty similar to like, say, like the Ben Stiller type stuff in the Royal Tenenbaums. Like, there's a lot of that in there. I mean, and he's playing on similar themes. He's done that a lot. He's going from a different angle.
The estranged father is very prominent in a lot of his movies. I'm getting a little tired of that trope as well. And I'm kind of getting tired of him writing himself into his movies, is what it feels like. Like when you watch the end of this movie, it feels like, oh, he's talking about himself. I don't know. He needs a rebrand, and no one would be in favor of it except for me. But do something different, Wes Anderson. Do a Dogma 95 movie, or do a Leos Carax movie, or do something that, because he loves French movies. I mean, he says his favorite movies are Murmur of the Heart and the Fire Within. I mean, I love that. That's great. Those are two of my favorite movies too. Just make a better movie next time.
All right. Well,
we've killed this movie. We got to move on.
We have. It's exactly kind of what I expected it to be. Todd gave it 3 stars. Zach gave it 2. I'm at 2.5. It's in theaters. You can check it out. It sounds interesting. If you like Wes Anderson, you're probably going to like this movie.